They used to write songs together before life got loud and love got lost. Years passed in silence until one afternoon a familiar melody found its way back. And when she heard it, she realized some songs never really end. They just wait for the right heart to remember the tune. The music store still smelled the same: wood polish, paper sleeves, and faint traces of dust that glittered in the light. Ella hadn't been there in 10 years, not since she'd walked out with a guitar and a heart full of dreams she never chased. Now, standing in the doorway again, she felt the weight of those years press against her chest. The shelves seemed smaller, but the memories, those were still loud. She traced her fingers over an old piano key display, smiling at the faded sign taped to the top. "Please play gently. She's been through a lot." "She still sounds the same," a voice said behind her. Ella froze. That voice. She turned slowly and saw him, Noah Carter, the boy she used to write songs with, the man she left behind when life got too heavy and love felt too complicated. He was older now, softer around the eyes, his hair streaked with a bit of silver. But the way he looked at her, like no time had passed at all, made her pulse skip. "Noah," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Didn't think I'd see you here again." "I didn't think I'd come," she admitted. "But something about today pulled me in." He nodded. "Yeah, happens a lot around here." The ghosts like to hum louder on certain days. They both laughed, a soft, nervous sound that filled the space between them. Later that week, Ella found herself back in the store again. She told herself it was coincidence, but deep down, she knew better. Noah was at the counter, tuning an old guitar. When he saw her, his smile was easy, familiar. "Couldn't stay away, huh?" She rolled her eyes playfully. "I wanted to see if you were still pretending to know how to play." He handed her the guitar. "Prove me wrong." The strings were slightly out of tune, but the muscle memory returned instantly. Her fingers found a pattern she hadn't played in years, a soft melody, slow and hesitant, like a memory waking up. Noah listened quietly. Then, without a word, he joined in. The harmony slipped between them, like it had never left. Every note was a conversation they hadn't finished, every chord an apology they didn't know how to say. When they stopped, the room was still. "That was the song," Noah said softly. "What song?" "The one we never finished. You left before we could—" Her throat tightened. "I remember." He studied her. "You still write?" "Not anymore." "Why not?" She looked away. "Life got in the way. After my dad died, I stopped hearing music the same way. It just hurt too much." Noah nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes. "Yeah, I get that." He reached for the guitar again, strumming lightly. "You know, I tried to finish that song once, but it never sounded right without your part." Something in her chest shifted. Maybe it wasn't supposed to. They began meeting at the store every few days, sometimes to play, sometimes to talk. They never said it out loud, but both knew something was growing again, slowly, like a song finding its rhythm. One afternoon, after closing, they sat by the window with cups of coffee and the sunset spilling across the floor. "You ever think about what could have been?" she asked quietly. He smiled. "Every time I pick up a guitar." She sighed. "I used to think we lost our chance." "Maybe we did," he said. "But maybe this is another one." She looked at him then, really looked. The man he'd become wasn't the boy she left. He was gentler, steadier, Faith had softened the edges of his ambition. "You still believe in timing?" she asked. He nodded. "I believe in grace. It shows up even when we don't deserve it." Weeks later, Noah invited her to a small church concert. "We're doing something simple," he said. "Acoustic night. You should come." She sat in the back pew, heart pounding. When Noah stepped up to the microphone, he smiled in her direction before strumming the first few notes. The melody was familiar, achingly so. It was their song, the one they never finished. But this time, there were new lyrics. Words she'd never heard, but somehow knew were written for her. "You left with silence in your heart. I stayed where the echoes start. But grace rewrote our melody, and love remembered me." Tears blurred her vision. She pressed her hand to her chest. When the song ended, the room stayed silent for a heartbeat, then filled with gentle applause. Afterward, Noah found her outside under the old oak tree. "So," he said softly, "did it sound right this time?" Ella laughed through her tears. "Yeah, it did," he smiled. "Maybe that's what grace sounds like." She stepped closer, the night air warm between them. "Or maybe," she whispered, "it's just love finding its way home." Sometimes love doesn't end. It just goes quiet until the right heart comes back to finish the song. And when God brings it back, it doesn't sound like before. It sounds like healing. Sometimes love doesn't end. It just goes quiet until the right heart comes back to finish the song. And when God brings it back, it doesn't sound like before. It sounds like healing.